In the shadowed silence of Africa's wild heart, a lone figure moves with deliberate grace. It is no apex predator, no pack hunter, no venomous stalker. It is a porcupine slow, low to the ground, but wrapped in a living fortress of 30,000 quills. Its every step is cautious, but not fearful. This is a creature built not to chase, but to endure. Each quill, a sharpened warning carved by evolution, rattles softly like 1,000 unsheathed blades. The jungle around it stirs with invisible tension. Branches whisper, leaves twitch. Predators prowl in the undergrowth, each eyeing the armored wanderer as an unusual challenge. It is an unassuming beast, yet it carries the legacy of survivors' prey that refuses to be devoured. Today, this humble herbivore will walk into a gauntlet of teeth, claws, and cunning. One by one, the wild will test its defense. And in doing so, it will reveal something extraordinary. That in nature's most brutal arenas, survival doesn't always favor the fastest or the fiercest, but sometimes the most prepared. The jungle is watching. The first hunter is closing in. From the thickets comes a flicker of motion, swift, precise, full of purpose. An African wild dog emerges, lean and restless, its amber eyes locked onto the porcupine. Alone, it is a rarity. These canines thrive in numbers, their true weapon, coordinated fury. But hunger can make gamblers out of even the most disciplined. The dog circles, paws silent on the dry earth, ears twitching to every rustle of quill. The porcupine halts, pivots, and lifts its tail slightly, a silent declaration of readiness. The dog barks once, a sharp test of nerves. No reaction. It edges closer. The porcupine doesn't run, it rotates, exposing its flared back like a medieval shield. This is not prey as the dog knows it. There's no chase, no panic. Only a slow, armored wall daring it to try. The dog lunges in a blur, snapping teeth, aiming for a weak spot. But instead, a face full of needles greets its ambition. The dog yelps and recoils, bloodless but burning. Even the air changes. What should have been easy is suddenly complicated. The predator retreats into the brush, limping slightly, humiliated. The porcupine watches for only a moment before moving on, unshaken. One down. More will come. The porcupine trudges forward, unharmed but hyper-aware. The jungle isn't done testing its defenses. Not yet. The underbrush shivers, and again the wild dog reappears. This time more cautious, more calculating. It circles with renewed determination, hoping speed can outmatch the slow spin of quills. It darts in and out, snapping at shadows, stirring up dust and tension. The porcupine reacts with a defensive pirouette, spinning on its hind legs, launching its tail like a spiked mace. The sharp rattle of quills is both a warning and a weapon. The dog lunges once more closer, now teeth bared. But contact is instant agony. A quill lodges in its snout, another in its shoulder. The dog howls, flailing backward, rolling into a patch of thorns. There is no blood, but there is defeat. A slow retreat begins. Panting, limping, the predator slinks off, vanishing like a ghost behind the trees. The porcupine pauses, scanning the tree line, sensing the shift in rhythm. It knows when one predator fails, another rises. This is not the end of the gauntlet. It's only the beginning. The underbrush cracks, not with the light-footed steps of a dog, but the low, deliberate thud of something heavier. From the shadows lumbers a honey badger, stocky, muscular, wrapped in loose, thick skin like armor. Its eyes are small, but burn with reckless intent. This is no scavenger. It's a brawler, a scrapper, a legend in the wild, venom-resistant, fearless. Its kind has taken food from lions and walked away from cobra bites. Now it stands before the porcupine, unblinking. The two face off like rival titans, one armed with aggression, the other with patience and spikes. The badger doesn't feint or test. It charges, fast, low, direct. The porcupine spins, slashes, rattles. The impact is thunderous, a flurry of fur, claws, and quills. For a moment, it's chaos, then a sharp yelp. The badger stumbles back, quills embedded deep in its muzzle and chest. Blood trickles, yet even injured, it growls, unwilling to yield. It charges again, only to be met with another burst of spines. This time, it hesitates, a rare pause for a beast that rarely backs down. The porcupine doesn't chase it, just waits. Patient, unyielding. The The jungle watches in silence as the badger turns. Wounded pride heavier than its limp. Wounded but still seething, the honey badger circles again, lips curled back in a snarl, eyes narrowed with fury. Pain is nothing new to this beast. It has fought lions and survived. But something about this immobile, stubborn target unsettles it. The porcupine stands firm, quills erect like thousands of tiny spears. Another charge erupts, sudden, violent. The badger claws low, attempting to flip the spiky shield. For a split second, it manages to tilt the porcupine's body just enough to glimpse the vulnerable underbelly. But instinct takes over. With a violent twist, the porcupine jerks free and lands a brutal counter. Dozens of quills stab into the badger's sides and foreleg. It shrieks, biting blindly at the air, foam collecting at the corners of its mouth. Both animals freeze, locked in a stare. The badger's breathing is heavy, blood seeping around the embedded quills. It takes a slow, reluctant step back, not out of fear, but respect. Even the fiercest fighters sometimes know when the cost is too high. And so, for the second time today, the porcupine watches another challenger disappear into the trees, defeated not by speed or strength, but by armor and resolve. As the echoes of conflict fade, dusk settles over the jungle, like a thick, amber curtain. Shadows stretch long across the forest floor, and the air cools, but the tension does not. The porcupine stands alone in the clearing, dust clinging to its fur, its quills tipped with tiny flecks of blood and dirt. It breathes steadily, but its ears twitch with every distant crack of twig. The jungle is never truly quiet, only waiting. Somewhere in the distance, a hyena howls. Closer still, leaves rustle with calculated movement. The porcupine does not panic. It lowers its body slightly, angling its back toward the noise, presenting its wall of defense like a seasoned warrior returning to guard. This pause is brief. The jungle does not grant long intermissions. From behind a gnarled bush, new eyes glint, intelligent, narrow, and hungry. The jackal has arrived, smaller than the last two opponents, but smarter, faster, and infinitely more patient. It does not growl. It doesn't charge. It simply watches, learning. The porcupine doesn't move. The clearing becomes a chessboard. And two survivors, both born of harsh environments, prepare for a very different kind of battle. The jackal steps lightly into the clearing, its paws making no sound on the dry earth. Sleek and agile, it's not here for brute force but opportunity. Its golden fur blends with the fading light, making it almost ghost-like as it circles. The porcupine, now weary but alert, pivots slowly, always facing the threat. There is no charge, no bark. The jackal is a thief, not a warrior. It angles around, trying to catch a glimpse beneath the quilled armor, searching for that vulnerable underside. Every movement is measured, a test of reflexes and patience. The porcupine stops spinning. It stands still, trusting its back to do the talking. A mistake? The jackal thinks so. It lunges not to attack, but to startle, hoping for a stumble. But the porcupine simply shifts, tail flicking up, a burst of quills flaring like a trap springing shut. The jackal skids to a halt just in time. It recoils, tail low, pacing faster now, agitated. This prey isn't panicked, it's rehearsed. The jackal makes one last feint, then stops. It knows the risk now outweighs the meal. With a growl swallowed into silence, it fades into the dark. Another predator denied. Frustrated, the jackal lingers just beyond the edge of the clearing, eyes glowing with reluctance. It had come expecting a vulnerable opponent, a tired relic of the forest. Instead, it found a fortress, one that doesn't flinch, doesn't run, doesn't beg. The porcupine remains still, its breath steady, quills bristling in the warm night air. Silence stretches between them, broken only by the whisper of leaves and the occasional chirp of unseen insects. Then slowly the jackal slinks away, vanishing into the undergrowth like smoke. 3 predators have come, and 3 have failed. But the jungle doesn't sleep. Somewhere deeper in the brush, a low, dragging sound begins. It is not cautious or swift, it is heavy, deliberate. The ground almost seems to feel it before the ears hear it. The porcupine shifts its stance again, sensing not hunger, but something older, more patient. The brush parts, and scales glint faintly in the moonlight. Not fur this time, armor. A new challenger emerges, the Nile monitor lizard, reptilian, ancient, cold-blooded. It doesn't pace or circle, it just watches. The standoff resets. But this time, the jungle holds its breath longer. The Nile monitor lizard steps forward with a slow, sinister grace. It is a creature sculpted by ancient design, thick, muscular tail, claws like hooked knives, and eyes that do not blink. Unlike the jackal, it wastes no energy on testing boundaries. Its approach is straight and steady, as if already convinced of its victory. The porcupine lowers itself, quills raised to full height, forming a spiked dome. The lizard pauses inches away, tongue flicking, tasting the scent of tension and iron. Then it strikes fast and low, aiming to grab a leg or flank before the fortress can turn. But the porcupine reacts in a blur of instinct, whipping its tail sideways. Quills slice through the air, catching the lizard across its snout and forelimb. The lizard hisses, stumbling back, but not retreating. It circles again, slower now, assessing this strange prey that does not flee, that bites without teeth. Another lunge, another backlash of quills. This time, the lizard recoils further, favoring a front foot now bleeding from embedded spines. For all its ancient armor, the monitor has found itself on the wrong end of evolution. With a final hiss, it withdraws into the undergrowth, swallowed by the dark. Dust settles in the wake of the reptile's retreat. The porcupine stands once again in solitude, its body aching, its breath measured. The clearing bears the scars of battle-torn earth, scattered quills, and the scent of exertion. Yet the jungle refuses to rest. A deeper hush falls over the trees, one that feels unnatural, like the forest itself is bracing for something different. The air grows heavy, thick with humidity and something else, anticipation. From the edge of the clearing comes no sound, no rustle. Just movement, slow and fluid, like a shadow peeling away from the earth. The python arrives, dark brown, massive, and coiling through the grass like a living rope of muscle. It makes no noise, no threat. There are no growls, no snarls, just stillness and power. The porcupine freezes, not out of fear, but strategy. This opponent is unlike the others. It will not be provoked. It will not flee. It will wait. The python slides closer, mouth slightly ajar, sensing heat, testing air. It knows this game is not about speed or pain. It is about patience and constriction. The predator closes in. The final test has begun. The python moves with eerie calm, its body a silent avalanche of muscle and instinct. It doesn't charge, it surrounds. Inch by inch, its coils trace an invisible noose around the porcupine. The defender doesn't move, calculating its only advantage, those needle-tipped defenses. But the python doesn't strike from the side. It lunges head-on, jaws unhinging to swallow. Its mistake, as its mouth clamps around the porcupine's head and shoulders, the quills drive deep into the soft inner tissue of its mouth, tongue, and throat. The effect is immediate. The python convulses, coiling tighter in a reflexive grip, its body writhing in pain. The porcupine is now caught alive, armored, but trapped in a suffocating embrace. Dust swirls as the serpent flails, trying to find an angle that doesn't shred it from within. The clearing becomes a blur of scales and spikes, of instinct fighting instinct. It's a deadly stalemate, one built on biology, one built on design. The porcupine cannot move, the python cannot swallow. Each second stretches longer, hotter, more painful. In the heart of the jungle, silence is broken only by the slow crush of tension and the sharp rattle of defiance. Locked in a death coil, the porcupine barely breathes as its world tightens. The python's massive body flexes with terrifying force, each pulse threatening to snap bones and silence breath. But inside the serpent's mouth, a war of another kind unfolds. Dozens of barbed quills drive deeper with every twitch, piercing soft flesh, wedging between muscles, scraping the roof of its throat. The python's eyes narrow, its tongue flicks erratically, pain rippling through its long frame like a tidal wave. It tries to reposition, to force the porcupine further in, but the more it pushes, the deeper the spines bite. Blood, dark and thin, begins to dribble from the edges of its jaw. The porcupine seizes its only moment. With a desperate heave, it shifts its back, angling its quills like spears against the serpent's inner mouth. The python spasms, the grip loosens, one coil, then another. In a final shuddering convulsion, the great constrictor unlatches and recoils violently, slithering backward with an awkward, anguished grace. It vanishes into the brush, a shadow now limping, beaten not by might, but by the hidden cost of a wrong assumption. The porcupine lies still, wounded but not broken. The jungle exhales, and for the first time, the porcupine moves. Slowly, shakily, it uncurls from the place it nearly died. Its flanks rise and fall in uneven rhythm, muscles trembling beneath a coat of dirt, sweat, and broken quills. But it's alive. Around it, the battlefield lies empty. No jackal, no badger, no lizard, no dog, no serpent. All have come, all have failed. The python's blood marks the soil like a dark signature of defeat. The porcupine doesn't gloat. It doesn't celebrate. It simply limps forward, each step a testament to biology's brilliance and survival's stubbornness. It pauses near the tree line, turns once more to scan the space where 5 challengers met their match, not through violence or aggression, but through unyielding design. The jungle remains still, almost reverent. Predators may rule the food chain, but today, the prey wrote the final sentence. With one final flick of its tail, the porcupine disappears into the shadows, carrying its story and its scars into the night. Night deepens, wrapping the jungle in a velvet hush. Stars scatter across the canopy above, indifferent to the day's brutal contest below. Somewhere in the darkness, the porcupine trudges onward, wounded, yes, but undefeated. Each predator had come with its own advantage. Speed, ferocity, intelligence, brute strength. But all were undone by one constant preparation. The porcupine never needed to win a fight. It only had to survive it. And survival in nature is the purest form of triumph. Its quills were not just weapons, but warnings etched through generations, fine-tuned by time. It did not chase, yet it could not be caught. It did not bite, yet it could not be swallowed. Nature had designed it not to dominate, but to endure. And in a world where every creature is both hunter and hunted, that endurance is what rewrites the rules. As the wind rustles the trees and distant howls echo across the valley, the jungle remembers today not for the predators that prowled, but for the one defender who stood still and remained standing. Beneath the stars, as the jungle exhales into stillness, one truth lingers like mist in the trees. Not all power roars. Some power walks quietly, armored in patience, defended by design. The porcupine's story is not one of dominance, but defiance, a lesson etched in the memory of every predator that dared to underestimate it. For every tooth that lunged, every claw that struck, every coil that tightened, the porcupine met them not with rage, but with resolve. In nature's harsh logic, survival often belongs to the fastest, the strongest, the fiercest. But sometimes it belongs to the most prepared. It's easy to admire the lion's roar or the cheetah's sprint. But in the silence, in the stillness, lies a different kind of hero, the one who never runs, never chases, and yet still remains. The clearing where 5 predators fell short becomes sacred ground. And the creature that left it, humble and slow, carries with it a legacy forged not in glory, but in grit. In the wild, where life is earned moment by moment, the porcupine proves this: being underestimated can be your greatest defense.